That's right, everyone. We're back at SeaWorld. We're here for their inside look. We get to go behind the scenes at various locations here at SeaWorld. And guess what? It's time for Christmas. Almost. Okay, again, we are here for Inside Look. And this is an event that SeaWorld does about once a year. And I'm going to show you what we're going to be experiencing today. So, Inside Look. Today's actually the last day of it, so this is it. So it's going to begin here with this inside Marine Mammal Care. Then inside SeaWorld Rescue Center. Inside the Manta Aquarium, where we actually get to go on top of the aquarium. Inside Pacific Point Preserve. Inside Shark Encounter, there too we get to go on top of the Shark Encounter. Inside Orca Encounter, as well as inside Wild Arctic. And then there's other presentations like Coral Reef Talk, which is new, Hammerhead and Sawfish presentation, Orca Underwater presentation, meeting the rescue team, Rescue Center Dive Talk. There's a family activity area. There's also a little scavenger hunt going on that we're not going to be doing. But we will be doing this, Platinum Pass member exclusive, inside look behind the scenes of the O Wondrous Night barn. It's where they keep the animals for the show, and we're going to be checking that out as well. So, it's just a sample of a few of the things that we're going to be doing today for Inside Look. And the fun will be starting real soon. Okay, first up. And this QR code if you want to learn more about right.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah. I need to get in there more so I can figure out where it's at.
I wander around to our fish house. Like I said earlier, we do a lot of cleaning. Suppose like please don't touch anything. As you can see, we're cleaning right now. Anyone heard of the AZA? A couple of you. So it's the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which is the top tier accreditation in the country for zoos and aquariums. We are part of that, and they make sure that we have the best of the best for our animals, which does include the quality of fish. So those 35,000 pounds of fish are brought in here and then dispersed to the different animal areas. Some of them do use the space, like our shark keepers and our aviary friends. There's a few different animal teams throughout the park that have their own kitchen areas next to them, so Wild Arctic will bring all their fish that way. But it all gets checked to make sure that it is good quality fish, nothing weird growing on it, it doesn't have like any weird sores or anything like that. We toss the gross ones so that our animals are only getting the good ones. And then we have our cooler, and there was about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The fish arrive to us flash frozen, and until the day before when they have to cool off, they're left in the freezer, which we actually just saw outside, and that is negative 14 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very, very cold. So bring it in here to thaw, and then anything not eaten by our animals within 24 hours of thawing is tossed. There are no leftovers. They're not eating it, 2 or 3 days, a week from now. So it does actually make it higher quality than some of the supermarket fish that you might get, which is sitting on ice for up to a week, depending on where you get it from. So they get the best of the best. You'll see we do have charts kind of around this area depending on what animals they're working for. We can weigh each of the food options out. So every animal has their individual diet, especially our killer whales or beluga whales, the larger animals, they get their own buckets full. And we can make sure that every single one of them gets exactly the amount of food that they need so that they can stay nice and healthy. So whether it be different types of food like fish or squid, or for our sea turtles, which is the corner over there closest to the door, they can process the lettuce for the manatees and the sea turtles over there. We don't want to cross-contaminate all the fish and the meaty stuff with the leafy greens. Alright, was that a question? Perfect. So we're going to actually head out the way we came so that we don't disturb what we just cleaned over here. We're going to go do the fun part. Are you excited? Do you not know what the fun part is? Oh, really? disperse out, and then the ones that are going to be fed next get put in their individual pools. We're going to walk this way.
Okay, well that was fun. During the experience we got to meet, interact, touch, and feed one of the dolphins. Unfortunately, SeaWorld did not allow us to record it. However, SeaWorld was kind enough to take pictures for us. And I'll be inserting those pictures now. Alrighty, welcome back. We are moving on. Okay, that was fun. We're going to move on to our next inside look location. We're not doing this in any particular order. We're just coming around. We're doing the ones that we had a set time for first. That's taken care of. Now we can just do the others. So, heading to our next one. Okay, our next one is right here. Actually, it's for Platinum Pass holders, which we are. So we're going to go ahead and hop in line, meet the animals from O Wondrous Night. Here we go.
Hey guys, how are you doing? My name's Justin. I'm one of the animal trainers here for O Wondrous Night. We're going to take you guys back. You can see the barn. We have 3 walkways, one here, the center, and on the end. Before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping rules. Please do not reach in the enclosures with our animals. We want to keep them nice and safe, as well as you. Any open bags of food, chips, if you could just close that up, please. Our animals are still in training. We're descending them to the stage and the lights, so no flash photography for right now, please. If you can just make sure that's off. If you have any questions, I'll be floating around. And are you guys excited? Yeah. Are you guys excited? Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. So like I said, you guys can go on this row here, the center, on the end. It's easier to see the animals on the exterior of the building. Just please stay off the driveway. But you guys can come on in, file in.
They're so cute. Aww.
That's Annabelle.
What?
A zebu. They're from Southeast Asia. These are handpigeons. They're actually easier to see if you go inside the barn.
Shorty.
there. There's no-
And they'll be in the show too. Alright, very cool. We're going to move on to our next inside look location. Okay, our next inside look location is right here.
Everybody, my name is Brett. I'm a senior aquarist. I've been here for 19 years. A lot of that time has been with the sharks. Shark Encounter is our largest fish aquarium on property. It's where we keep our largest sharks. It's about 700,000 gallons. A few minutes, I'm going to stand you up top so make sure you see the sharks. First, we're going to talk about this shallow pool right behind you. It's our mid pool. Normal everyday use, we don't really use it too much. Times a week we bring our saltfish in. We actually feed them in there. It's a little easier to get them food in that shallow pool as opposed to the 15-foot deep exhibit where their food gets stolen by things. If we do have any fish or sharks that are sick or injured, it's just not acting right, we can bring them in here, isolate them, do a checkup on them, figure out what's going on. Hopefully we're able to heal them up quickly, get them back out on exhibit. If not, something more long-term or something more extensive, we'll actually send them down to a quarantine facility because the med pool is not meant for long-term use. The other thing we're going to use it for is for physicals. We try and give our sharks a physical every year. We do a lot of the same kind of things you would for a human physical. So we'll bring them into the med pool one at a time. Anytime we're in the water working with the sharks, obviously we're going to keep things nice and safe, so we're in full wetsuits, gloves. Shark be good stick in between you and the sharks at all times. When we're ready to actually get our hands on, we're going to put them in a stretcher. We have different size stretchers for different size animals. We make sure they're in there nice and comfortable, but also well contained, thrashing around, possibly injuring themselves. Sharks need oxygenated water flowing over their gills in order to breathe. Some sharks have the ability to pump that water themselves with a specialized muscle. Other sharks have to keep swimming in order to get that water moving over their gills. Either way, we are going to have a water pump in the water pumping oxygenated water. This is also going to be hooked up to an oxygen cylinder. So it's going to be right in front of their mouth, so that oxygenated water is going in their mouth over their gills so they can breathe while they're inside that stretcher. Even still, we want to make sure that we are equipped with the procedure. Depending on the species, some sharks, if they're left sedentary, not swimming for too long, they can actually start to develop lactic acid in their systems. It starts affecting their internal pH, start breaking down muscle tissue. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. So we are going to get done our procedure as quickly as possible, back out on exhibit, and start flushing that lactic acid out of our system. So like I said, we do a lot of the same kinds of procedures that we would for a human physical. We're going to measure them, measure their length, check and make sure the juvenile animals are growing and adult animals are maintaining. We're going to weigh them. We want to make sure that, again, juvenile animals are growing, adults are maintaining. If we have somebody that's off, we need to adjust their feeding method. Different species of sharks have different nutritional requirements. Hammerhead sharks, for example, constantly swimming, very fast moving, obviously going to have a much higher nutritional requirement than, say, our nurse sharks, who spend about 23.5 hours a day just lying on the bottom doing nothing. If we have juveniles, they're going to have a higher percentage need over an adult because they are still growing rather than just maintaining. So that weight's going to tell us whether we need to adjust any of those feeds or not. We also are going to take a blood sample. We have a lab on site and run a variety of tests. Just because an animal is healthy on the outside doesn't mean everything's going right on the inside. So that blood sample is going to double check everything. We can also do x-rays and ultrasound. Again, looking at those internal organs, making sure everything is developing properly, making sure everything is nice and healthy. All of our sharks have a temporary tattoo on their pectoral fin and fin on their side, so we can tell them apart within the species, the numbering system. Look down and say, oh, that's male sand tiger number 9. We look at that tag and make sure that it is still visible. If not, we'll hit it again so that we can clearly figure out which animal we're looking at. We're doing our sawfish. Obviously, we have a little bit more care that we need to take. We have that giant very dangerous. If they start swinging that around, so we'll actually wrap that up in a neoprene sleeve, velcro it shut, so that if they do start swinging, it's not going to hurt nearly as much. It's going to hurt. Not as bad. Anybody have any questions?
How do you zero in on a shark?
So obviously you can't just clap my hands and say, hey, number 9, get in here. So depending on the species, there are sand tigers and sand bars, for example. Down the end, there's that gray square.
Yeah.
That's actually a big net. It's got ropes. We'll actually lower that down the bottom. When the surface runs over it, we'll pull those ropes, bring that up to the surface, bring them over to the net, we'll hook up, we'll swim in, and get the boat that heat off. Our nurse sharks are, I don't want to say they're smarter, just they're lazier. So we actually have to dive down there with a hoop net, scoop them into the net, drag them up to the surface, bring them over. The sawfish are good because when you feed them, they're used to coming in and out of here. Sometimes they don't used to it.
How often in your job are you in the tank?
I'm actually very rarely in there anymore. We have a dive team that does the majority of the cleaning. Every once in a while, we'll also get in there.
Do you guys?
No, actually, we don't want the big guys in there because they freak out, get all scared. We want people that know what they're doing and are comfortable with the animals. We don't really have anybody that's too aggressive, curious about the dive team at this point. When the hammerheads went in, which are technically known as more aggressive, they're in the top 10 of shark bites out in the world, but we've never had any incidents with them at all. We actually tend to stay away. They're the most aggressive that we have in here, but we've never seen anything that would say that. Out in the wild, they're on the top 10 list of shark bites. I think it's still bull sharks that are black tips. You get bit by a black tip.
How do you move them to the other lakes if they need to go really?
So depending on the size of the animal, the big ones, this garage door rolls up, our forklift comes in, straps are on either end of the stretcher. We have a tank outside waiting on the back of a truck. Roll it down, pop in. Got it down to like 30 seconds and we're done.
How long do your procedures take?
So we try, again, it depends on the species, it depends on the age. We don't want them to stretch for longer than about 20 minutes, but obviously that's going to take into account the transport. We're only, 3-minute drive to the quarantine tank, so it's not a huge amount of time. They also are going to have the water flowing the entire time, and we'll have somebody that's actually moving the shark tail while it's in that box. If it's depending on the species, if it's a box where they're not able to move, or a big round where they can move. If they're in that box, we'll actually be sitting there moving it so that lactic acid doesn't move. Any questions? Okay, if you want to head up the stairs over there, Selena's down the end. She's going to talk about different species we have and how we feed them. Thank you.
My
My name is Selena. I'm one of the aquarists that works here at SeaWorld. You guys just got the opportunity to speak with one of my coworkers. His name is Brett. And he spoke to you guys all about the things that we do during our yearly physical with our sharks. I'm going to speak a little bit more about exactly what we have in this exhibit and what it takes to take care of all these animals in the exhibit. So this tank holds 5 species of sharks, 1 species of ray, and about 8 or so species of fish. It has 700,000 gallons of water in it. It's about 15 feet deep. The filtration system also holds a lot of that amount of water. And our tank out front of the restaurant is also a part of the same filtration system. So it's all one big system. It's pretty incredible. Water gets completely filtered through every single day, about 18 times a day. And that maintains a clear and happy, healthy water quality for our sharks and all of our animals in here. It's really incredible. So our 5 species of shark that we have in here, we have sandbars, sand tigers, great hammerheads, a zebra shark, and nurse sharks. So it's quite a variety of sharks that we have. We have 1 gray species, our small-tooth sawfish species, which I'll talk a little bit more about in just a few minutes. And then our great hammerheads are our newest residents in this exhibit. And then, like I said, we have a bunch of fish in here as well. We have some tarpon, some yellowtail snapper. It's quite a diverse tank. So I'm going to pick out a few of my favorite species in here. I'm going to talk a little bit about them. So our great hammerheads, like I said, are our most recent additions to this exhibit. Currently, they're both males. Their names are Dutch and Dylan. They're about 7 to 8 feet in length and weigh between 150 to 200 pounds right now. But they can get up to anywhere about 12 feet long and probably close to double in weight, so they have a lot of growing to do. They are the largest species of hammerhead in the ocean. Females, typically we don't have females, but females in the wild can get anywhere up to 16 feet, which is pretty incredible. They are a very large species of shark. But again, ours are younger. They have a lot of growing to do still. We're very excited about it. Our small-tooth sawfish, I love to talk about this species right now. Our male is actually doing a drive-by as we speak. You guys will see him as he comes by. So our sawfish are very distinct because they have exactly what it says in their name, a saw, on the top of their head, or we call it a rostrum scientifically. And that is what they use to catch food in the wild. They swing it through the water column to attack the fish, and the fish get punctured and fall to the bottom. Again, they are more of a ray species than they are a shark species. Their mouth and their gills are found underneath them, which is a common quality of a ray. So though they might be look a little bit like a shark, they are not technically a shark. But right now, we actually have our female small-tooth sawfish off exhibit. And the reason for this, if you guys are locals, you might know this information already, but if not, it's very exciting news. So we were blessed, lucky enough, to have our female give birth about 4 months ago. Our small-tooth sawfish, female, she did an incredible job birthing 3 pups. And this was a surprise to us. We had no idea she was pregnant until 5 months ago. And we actually moved her out of exhibit a month after we found out she was pregnant, and she gave birth 5 days later. Their gestation period is about 12 months long, so we were right on time. We got very lucky because if she would have given birth in this exhibit, there was a high chance the pups would have not survived. So we got very lucky. We did find it when we did, and that is why our physical exams every year are very important for all of our animals to find things like that. So this species is very critically endangered in the ocean. It's the most critically endangered fish in the ocean right now, actually. So it's a huge deal. We're the only facility in the United States to have the species, and now the only facility in the United States to ever have pups born in animal care. So we're very, very excited about it. They will eventually be on exhibit, but it was a surprise to us, so we have to make a lot of plans now to move some animals around and make room for them. So eventually they will come, but they're beautiful right now. They're about 4 pounds. And 3 feet in length. So they're growing a lot. In the last 4 months, they've grown a lot. They're about 2 feet when they're born, and just a few pounds, like 2 pounds. So they've basically doubled in size almost in the last few months. So they're growing fast, which is very exciting, but they're very healthy and happy. But animal care in this exhibit is very important. We feed our sharks twice a week, most of them. The only sharks that get fed more often are the great hammerhead sharks. Great hammerhead sharks here in our exhibit get fed twice a day. The great hammerheads are very active species of shark. They need a lot of attention, a lot of enrichment. If not, they do naughty things. So we don't want that to happen, but it is very normal for sharks to have their normal instincts of going after and chasing fish. But we do our best to keep them busy as much as possible. But our other sharks, though, are all target trained, including the hammerheads. You can see a few targets scattered around the exhibit right now. each species knows that has been trained to come to that specific target to receive food on their feed days. So they're very smart animals. They're very food motivated. A lot of people don't know that sharks can be trained, and other varieties of fish can also be trained. So it's really, really incredible work we get to do with these animals every single day to take care of them. I've spoken a lot about sharks in here and our care for them. If you guys have any questions, though, I'd love to answer them. Unfortunately, I only have a short period of time with you guys. But please ask me anything you guys want to know. If not, you can continue on your way on your tours. I know the inside look, we only do these every so often, so it's a big deal for you guys to be able to come behind the scenes and take a look at exactly what we do every day. So any questions at all about sharks? Anything? Yes, I think by far they are the youngest, one of the younger species we have, and definitely the most active. They're just overall a very, very active species. They're big hunters, you know, out in the wild, so they're always zooming around. Yeah, good question. Anything else?
The targets, yeah. Does like each species or
Yes.
different sharks have like a different?
It's just for each species, so not individual sharks, but
Right.
each species. Yeah. So they'll just slip them in the water and use those tongs that you see over there to grab their food, and we'll follow them around.
And they know their color.
They know their colors. Yeah, again, a lot of them might be station trained at this point too, because each target goes in the same spot every time. But either way, they're very smart. They know where to go. It's pretty incredible. Yeah. Good question.
The sawtooth, is it
Yes.
live birth?
Live birth, yeah. So small tooth sawfish is live. Yeah.
Do they
good
not
question.
have teeth?
So they do have teeth, but they're actually covered by a gelatinous layer. So the question was, the small tooth sawfish, when they're born, because they have teeth protruding out of their rostrum, it's dangerous. It's very sharp.
I was just thinking about the poor mom.
Yes, so when they're in the uterus, their teeth are protected by a gelatinous layer, and it comes off, it just like falls off a week or two after they're born.
Okay.
Yeah, but very good question. Yeah.
And the hammerheads, which one was the larger one and the
I
smaller?
think they're both about the same size. I think if they're the males, they're both, I think one is
Like that one.
barely,
Which one is that?
I could not tell you. They both are so similar. I don't work directly in this area.
Okay. And you said their names were again?
Dutch and Dylan.
Dutch and Dylan. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, but they're very, very similar in size. They're very close.
What do you do
question?
for enrichment?
What do we do for enrichment? Honestly, I think for the most part, feeding time is their enrichment time. There's not much more we do, I don't think, for the sharks individually for enrichment. But definitely the hammerheads, like when they feed, they feed them. Like they make them like swim in circles and like chase their food. So it's a very active feed for them. Yeah.
Is that here? Or
Yeah. So that was actually their spots like right over here on the exhibit. Yeah. So they each have their stations, their targets. It's really cool. It's really pretty.
like if you happen to time it, can you watch it?
You actually just missed it a few minutes ago. The tour right before you guys got to see it.
Oh, that's why
So
it was
it's twice. It's usually the morning and the afternoon. You can see it from the restaurant a little bit. I can't tell you exactly what time in the morning. I think it's around 10 in the morning, and now at, I guess you did at 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And that's only a couple of days a week.
It's twice a day, actually.
Twice a
So
day.
If you're in the restaurant at the right time, you can catch it. Yeah. But thank you guys. My next group is coming. I really appreciate it. All
Thank
questions
you.
and stuff.
Thank you.
Head down the stairs. You'll see the double doors to exit. Have a great day. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Sherry up next.
Mind the gap. No, but I've been there before.
Alright guys, stand behind the yellow line, please. Sorry. So get it nice and cozy, make sure my guys can talk over everyone and the fan and all the filtration, and not distilling anyone in front of you. So if you guys have any questions, feel free and ask them at the end. My name is Gavin, I'm one of the senior aquarists here. So welcome to Manta. This exhibit is around 250,000 gallons, so just 250,000 gallons. So that's a lot of milk sheds in your tank.
Oh, nothing.
Stars of the show.
Got the hammerheads in there.
Stars of the show. Everyone says, oh my gosh, look at those baby mantas. Those are actually mobula rings, or lesser devil rings.
Yeah.
They are a ray. They don't have any barb, no stinger whatsoever. We do have 2 stingrays in here, in Vito and Waffles, so our black blonde gray and our lemon gray. So Waffles, he likes to hang out in this corner over here. It's about 300 only about 5 years old.
Wow.
She was born at actually Disney at Epcot. Our leopard ray, you will see him swimming around. His name is Devo. Because he's a boy, he can't be a diva. So yeah, this bottle that I'm holding, we actually use this to target train, target condition the mobula rays. So the person will actually get in a wetsuit, and they'll recognize this bottle with the yellow collar on it. They'll actually swim up, we'll insert this in their mouth, and see the desired amount to them. We have this gauntlet on our shoulder to make sure we're tracking who's eating who. So just like you and I, like if we get sick, we're not going to eat too well. So that's a really good way of us tracking how much this animal is eating, if they go off food, and also very controlled diet. We're not just broadcasting the food out of the exhibit. Other facilities that do have mobula rays do broadcast. If you watch videos, so much food is actually wasted from it. So this is actually a really good controlled way to do it, and you get your added vitamins too as well. Another cool stars of the show are the guitar fish. The guitar fish are the ones standing on the glass and on the bottom. They're kind of like an in-between of like a shark and a ray. They don't know what they're doing. So they're actually more classified as a ray species because their gills are underneath your body. They kind of know the difference between a ray, or not a ray, a shark, or a elasmobranch ring compared to a standard fish is a cartilaginous skeleton and a perculums. So sharks and rays, they have their gills completely exposed. They don't have a microphone and a perculums cover those gill slits. Now this is time to open up the floor to you guys. Do you guys have any questions for me?
They're all hand fed.
Most of the animals are hand fed here or tom fed. So the mobula, these big guys, they get fed from the bottom. And if you look on the wall behind, we have the red target. That is for waffles. And then Devo actually will come up to the person in the wetsuit. We can actually hand feed them. The green target that you see on there, that's for the guitar fish. So all 4 guitar fish will come up to the platform over there. And they'll get that food close to their mouth as best we can.
Is that a hammerhead?
So yeah, it is a relative of a hammerhead. It's a bonnet head. So there's cephalofoils. Hasn't fully developed to that big, distinct hammerhead shape. So this exhibit's really nice because you do see every different type of bonnet plant or elasmobranch in development.
What are the fish?
So yeah, you have the school of sardines.
Oh, the little
And then the big fish that you will see are goldfish. So that's the skull of corn that you see.
There's a bigger one somewhere out here.
Stonefish are pretty cool because they have 2 sets of jaw. They have their first set of jaw that kind of breaks up the food, and then behind that, just before their esophagus, they have a second plate that are like grinding teeth, which are kind of like molars. It's kind of really weird to see it. They're a very popular fly fishing game fish out of the salt flats down in the Keys. So a lot of fishermen out here in the gallery are like, oh my gosh, like how did they get those fish? Because they're very hard to catch.
Oh, not those.
These 3 are called batfish. They go through a very graphic juvenile change when they're very small juveniles. They look like dead leaves. They're very brown, and then they'll develop that silver pattern. And then when they're juveniles, they're stretched out this way, and as they mature, they stretch out that way.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey.
trained him too. Well, that's pretty good.
One of the Logan I found out.
I never knew they could jump like that. And that was pretending to be a shark. His head is lit up.
find the gap. I will tomorrow. How long have you been doing it?
Professionally, almost 10 years, but at this facility, pushing 2. I was at SeaWorld San Antonio for almost 30 years.
You have a major
Environmental science. Yeah. Yep. Yep, we're going to wetsuit. Yeah, if you guys like walk out and like go underneath the gallery, we're almost about to feed them here. So, I'm gonna send you guys on out. I know it's a lot of people. I know it's a lot of information.
Awesome. So excited you all are here. Please feel free to take as many photos and videos as you would like. All right, guys? We are going to start heading down this way.
You want to push?
So we're going to kind of park right here in front of this pool. So if you guys want to line up along the fencing right here. Alright guys, well welcome. My name is Kylie. I am one of the trainers here at Orca Stadium. You might notice we don't have any orcas right in front of you right now. Alright, so we have 7 different pools, 7 different habitats amongst our area here at SeaWorld Orlando. So we have our front pool is going to be our largest pool. This pool is about 36 feet deep. And then all the rest of our pools are also at varying depths and sizes. The ocean floor is about, oh my god, right? They're all varying sizes as well. And then you can't see our boys are kind of peeking through over there. So don't worry, even though the boys are right in front of us right now, and after this video, we are going to switch halfway through so you will get a better view of whales. We're going to talk a little bit about everything with and without whales. So right now, we are actually standing in front of the most critical pool that we have here at our facility. This is our medical pool, as you can see. And this is a very important pool because the floor actually raises up. So if our veterinarians ever needed to check out our whales if they're not feeling well, are you trying to tell us? Trent, you want to take over? If our veterinarians ever did need to check out our whales for any reason, they can actually come and walk all around when we lift the floor up, and they can walk all around the entire whale to check their entire body out. So it's very cool. We make this pool the most fun pool it could possibly be, because if you as a parent know that taking your kids to the doctor isn't always fun, right? They know that there's not some fun stuff that happens there. But if you got to take your kids to the doctor's office just to get some candy sometimes, just to watch your clean, you probably want to go a little bit more often, right? So we want to get down with this. We've got a big fire hose attached right there. I've got a couple of different toys and gelatin that I can show you guys. So we can reinforce our whales in a lot of different ways besides just food. This is actually my favorite part of the job, is creating different enrichment for them. Enrichment is just a fancy word for adding something new and stimulating to their environment. So if you look over to your right over there, you see our giant toy box. We've got nice hard durable toys, so obviously they're very higienical, so they can't be like the same toys that you might give your pets. Our whales also really enjoy Jello. This is actually gelatin. So we can take the Jello and we can make it all different shapes, different colors, just by adding some food coloring to it. We can make it different textures. And then we can actually take these, and if we make a really sticky Jello, we can actually glue it onto the toys. And this is how we make like their birthday cakes, and how we can, make puzzle toys for them. We have some toys that have holes in there, and we'll Jello the outsides of the holes, and put a bunch of fish and ice and everything in there. They have to create like a puzzle toy. Really fun stuff. I know, you talking to them? They're like, excuse me, we're right here, look at me. So here we have 5 whales in total. We have our 2 boys, Trua and Makayo. We'll get a better look at them in just a little bit. And then we also have our 3 females, Tina, Alani, and Bovio. Now, Katina is our oldest whale. She is 47 years old. She's our matriarch, or the leader of our pod. Makayo is actually her son. He is her youngest baby that she's ever had. And then her daughter Nalani here. And then Trua is actually Yes. 10 to 12,000 when fully grown. Yeah. And even though Trua's our biggest right now, I do think Macayo is going to get bigger than Trua. Macayo is 13, so he still has even more growing to do than Trua. They usually mature about 20 years old. But Macayo's dad was a very large whale. He was tipping the scales at 12,000 pounds. So I definitely think that Macayo is going to outgrow Trua one of these days. So yeah, that's Mac over there on the left. And Trua right here. Yeah, you guys right now. But so, a little bit about our day-to-day here. When we're not, you know, doing inside look, this gives you a little bit more about what we're doing behind the scenes, but you're not seeing the shows as well. So we use an acronym that we call helpers to kind of guide us through our day. The very first and the most important session that we're ever going to do with our whales is what we call husbandry session. That's basically that our animals are voluntarily participating in their own health care. So the age is very, very important for us because we always want to make sure that they're nice and healthy, right? We're always looking over their bodies, making sure they don't have any different bumps or scratches that we might not have seen before. So healthcare is the most important one. Obviously, we want them to be exercised as well, right? They want to get their hearts racing. We want to make sure that they're staying nice and healthy so that we are exercising them, not only in the shows that you guys see with the big jumps, but we'll do some fun stuff back here as well. The pool that we're going to go to next is a big ledge, and they like to play like slip and slide on their own time. So they do get their own exercise in, even when we're not asking in the show. Even at 47 years old, Katina is always learning. All of our whales are always learning. And then our favorite sessions as trainers are obviously playtimes and relationship sessions with our whales. Getting to learn their likes, their dislikes, and you know, just getting to love on them and seeing, you know, how to build that trust with these animals is amazing. I am your trainer. It's time for us to swap sides with the other team. So we are going to go ahead and go see these whales a little bit up closer, all right? Our little people whale. He loves watching everybody. He's definitely a fan favorite here at SeaWorld Orlando.
Which is Trua?
I'm sorry?
Which one?
Trua. He is actually, not that one, that's Macayo. Here's the other one that swam by. They're actually really easy to tell apart because Truas are only whale with freckles. So yeah, he has a freckle on the right side of his eye patch, so those white spots right behind their eyes. He has a freckle in there. He has a freckle on the left side of his chin. He also has freckles all over his belly as well. So he is definitely our easiest whale to tell apart. So that's where we have swimming by right now. And if he were to sit up, you could probably see that eye patch in a moment. So maybe he'll come by again and show you those freckles. He's also, again, our largest whale, so he's a little bit easier to tell apart that way right now. Hi, Mandy. You guys want to say hi?
How much does he, I'm sorry, how much does he weigh?
Almost 8,000 pounds right now. Yeah. And here's Macayo. He's our youngest whale. He just celebrated his 13th birthday last month.
How long do they live for?
About 40 to 50 years is pretty average. So it's just like humans, you know, you can't really put a necessary longevity on them because some of them live younger, some of them live older. Our oldest whale right now, actually out of all of our whales in our SeaWorld company, is Orca. She's 58 years old out at SeaWorld out at SeaWorld San Diego. So again, she has surpassed that, you know, 40 to 50 lifespan. And Katina at 47, she is still our highest jumper, our fastest swimmer. She's not slowing down anytime soon, I can tell you that. If you guys see a show and see a whale that you're like, oh my gosh, that whale's flying, that's her. That's Katina. But yeah, so we also are going to be doing a Dine with Orcas program around 12:45, anywhere between 12:45 to 1 o'clock-ish as well. And our girls are going to be in that pool, so if at any point in time you see the girls jumping over there, feel free to direct your attention over there. I won't be offended. I know they're but yeah, so a couple of other different ways to tell our whales apart. So for the boys, again, are easy to tell apart because of Trua's freckles. For the girls, they have a couple of different features about them as well. Katina's probably the easiest to tell apart of the girls. If you were to look at the front of her rostrum, which is the like nose part you would think of their face, she actually has a white dot on the front of her rostrum there, so she's pretty easy to pick out. And then Nalani and Malia are going to be our hardest because they are 16 and 17-year-old girls, so they're about the same size, you know, they look pretty similar. But if you look at killer whales' eye patches, I think those are the best way to think of them. Their eye patches, their dorsal fins, Their tail flukes and their saddle patches, which are the gray spots on their back, are all completely unique to them. It's kind of like their fingerprint, their genetic fingerprint, and kind of the way that you would like tell twins apart is by little things like that. So if you were to look at Nalani's eye patch, she actually has like 3 black stripes in her eye patch that we jokingly call her eyelashes. Obviously, they're not really her eyelashes, but it's kind of what they look like, so that's an easy way to tell Nalani apart. And then Malia, her eye patches are very pointy, almost like almond shaped, so it's a couple little ways that you can tell apart. So if you end up going to our underwater viewing area, which is going to be having our whales in that pool during our Dining with Orca program, if you see our girls, there's a couple ways you can tell apart. I know I've thrown a lot of information at you guys. If you have questions, please raise your hand. Let me know. Does anybody have any questions so far? No?
How old can they reproduce?
So females typically become of breeding age at about 7 years old, maybe give or take a few years. And then males, again, they sexually mature closer, like in the late teens, but they can start reproducing earlier than that. We haven't really studied if they've gone through menopause or not. You know, Katina's our oldest right now, but we are not breeding our whales right now, so we haven't really seen if there's that opportunity as well, if she can't actually reproduce. I don't know. We don't really have the answers about if they go through menopause, right? Right. Yeah. So, and it's cool because we're always learning things too. It is a study, that we could do potentially. But yeah, as far as we know, I don't really know. Not yet, at least. Yeah, exactly.
You said there's 7 pools?
We have 7 pools, yep. Over 7 million gallons of man-made salt water. Because we're in Orlando, right? So we're in Central Florida. San Diego does pump their water in from the bay since they're right on there. But San Antonio and Orlando, we do man-make all of our salt water. We have a very good water quality team that is always observing our water, make sure it's in perfect condition for them. It is always chilled to a perfect 52 degrees, just like the way the whales like it. Not necessarily the way I like it, but they really prefer that 52-degree cold water. And then every single drop of water gets filtered through every 4 hours, so very clean.
I have a question. Are you able to get in the water with them? I know there's been that tragic accident.
Yeah,
As trainers without a show, do you get in?
Yeah, so we don't do water work like we used to back in the day, deep water work. We will get in the water in some of our other pools, like our medical pool where the floor can lift. We'll lift the floor so we can be about waist deep with them and do what we call descents training with them. So it's essentially just calming water work. We want them to know you're my trainer. If you were to fall in the water, I help you out. It's more than anything. It's kind of trainer or the water work that we're training with them. So that way, if an accident were to ever happen where somebody were to fall, they're very calm and they're used to it, and they're like, okay, this is fine. I know what to do. I help you out of the water. So it's just very, very mild water work. not like that.
Yeah, more shallow.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, good question. They're pretty cool, right?
Yeah. How long have you worked here?
I've been with SeaWorld since 2015. I started in our education programs. I worked in our... You hear that? That was killer whale burp. That wasn't killer whale burp. Our boys are notorious for it. They are teenage boys, of course. But yeah, so I worked with our camp program for a little bit. And then I worked at our sister park Discovery Cove with our sharks, stingrays, our dolphins over there. After COVID, I moved across the street here and worked with our dolphins for a couple of years, and I moved to Orca about 1.5 years ago. So, yeah, so I'm still kind of new to killer whales. I'm still learning them, even after what feels like almost 2 years now. Their social dynamic is like so much more complex than even bottlenose dolphins. It's crazy to think about because these guys actually are the largest species of dolphin. But their social dynamics are way more intense than bottlenose even. So Adam and I both actually came from dolphin, and I think that we are both safe to say that these guys are a whole different ballgame. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we are going to have to wrap up our time here. If you think of any other questions on the way out, though, please feel free to let us know. We'd love to answer them for you. Thank you so much for coming in. seeing a little bit more about, you know, what we do here with them.
Charles over there.
Where's Charles go?
He's over there at the gate.
Yes.
He's over at the gate.
I have a question for you. Where did the other group go? Did they walk back?
Oh, yeah,
Is there
they're
another group? Oh,
Yeah, they went over there. We just stopped at the med pool because I think it's an important pool to talk about, but they were just like at the other pool, which doesn't have a pool.
No, nothing we missed.
Yeah, no.
I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Yep. Trails are in here and over there. So yeah, they were in the same spot as you guys. All right, guys. Well, go ahead and start it
So that's because the other one
Thank you.
stay on there and watch part of the show, you know, and
Okay, up next.
I'm gonna ask him, right? But yeah, he's hoping that he can help. Oh, is it? Isn't it? Oh, no.
Wyndham is open till 6.
I thought it was.
I don't know.
I think everything's built. I didn't do that.
Where's it at? Around 20 years now at rescue. So have you guys seen the boat out front? That's what we actually do with all of our manatee rescues is that boat. That boat right there, the pretty one, is what we take a lot of times for turtles or for dolphin rescues. Along with that boat right there. So we have, and then our actual dolphin boat is down at our rescue pool. So we have a total of 5 boats here, and then these 2 ones as well. But you can see the crane we need to also use for manatees. I'm sure you've seen the ones out front. They're very large. Our biggest girl here is my favorite girl named Sarah, and she's around 3,100 pounds. So she is a big girl. So she definitely needs the crane. And you guys, I don't know if you visited the pool out there. It's kind of like up raised, so we have to even our small ones have to be raised by that right there. So luckily one of our bosses is trained on that, and then only a few other people in the park. So that's very important. But this is what from the boat. What we do is we will go ahead and go to the boat ramp with manatee, and then we will go ahead and put them basically on the boat ramp like this with a whole bunch of people we carry. This is their stretcher. It's but there's handles luckily on each side, because usually the average size of a manatee in the wild is around like 1,800 pounds, so it is a lot. There's usually only maybe 6 of us that go on a rescue, so a lot of it is dragging, which is fine. This is what it's meant for, us to drag. So then we put the manatee, they're usually way bigger than this, so we have to slant them sideways on here, and luckily this comes up like an elevator. And then we will go ahead and we'll walk them in the stretcher inside there, and usually the manatees just lay there. Manatees are super chill, as long as they really just kind of sit there, luckily, thank goodness, since they are so big. So we put them in, and then we go ahead and close the door, and then usually myself will volunteer to sit with them back to SeaWorld. So we go all the way up, sometimes even up to Chesapeake. It just depends. Wherever we're needed, we'll go. But a lot of times soon, it's going to be too cold for them. Even if it's like 68 degrees, they'll get cold stress, so they have to come back down to the Florida waters. So a lot of times manatees will hang out in Charleston, sometimes up in North Carolina, all those places up there that they like to hang out, which is fine, as long as they come back down once it gets too cold for them. So even though they look like they're big and have lots of fat on them, they will not survive in cold water. So anything above 68 is okay. Anything below that, they'll get what's like for you and I, like cold stress, which is like frostbite. So their skin will start to deteriorate, they'll get blisters, they'll get abscesses all over them, and they will not eat. So those kind of shut down and sit at the bottom and basically just starve to death until they get moved. So what we do is a lot of times the people up north will call and say, hey, there's a manatee here, can you guys come and get them? And then we work with all the state regulations, and then we will go down, and basically we're just the Uber drivers. So we'll go up to Charleston, put them in the truck, and then as soon as we get to Jacksonville, we go to a boat ramp and we say, all right, bye manatee, and that's basically all we do. So that's an easy rescue, because that really is just us literally just rescuing them and putting them back to Florida, which is okay, that's good. Soon, Blue Springs, I don't know if you guys are from Florida, Blue Springs and Crystal River will be swarmed with manatees. Sometimes they get 600 there a day. That's because all those manatees, which are the smart manatees, will go straight to those springs and kind of stay there till it gets, once it's warm enough, they'll all leave, but they'll go there when it's too cold, and they kind of hang out, and then once it gets warm enough, they will go back out and do their normal manatee thing. So those, what's that? Where did you say? It's usually Blue Springs or Crystal River, which is like maybe 2 hours from here. Blue Springs is only like an hour, so if you're here in the winter when it's cold, you definitely should check it out. It's a cute state park, but you'll just see they look like rocks just hanging out, and you'll see the moms with the babies. There's just so many manatees. It's super cool, and a lot of our orphans that we release will be there as well. Like that's where all the manatees go, and the researchers there, like the biologists, actually know them all by their scarring. So if you guys go out to the front, you'll see lots of them will have lots of scars on them. So usually if a manatee does come in and it's adult, it pretty much will have a scar on them from some type of boat injury from the past. There's one out there named Reckless. She's the coolest one ever since I've been here. She's the best story ever. She came in with her little baby Churro, which was only around 2 weeks old. We named her Churro because she is so sweet. And mom's name is Reckless because she came in with lots of scars, but she came in basically, we think it was a huge boat, but the propeller really took off her entire shoulder. So when she came in, we were like, oh, this mom's not going to make it. This poor baby, there's no way she's going to survive. Like, it looked terrible. And she went through 11 surgeries now? 11 surgeries, and she's good. She looks great. She's eating great. Churro's over 600 pounds now, which is crazy big for a baby, but that's good. That's good for her. She's just a big 1-year-old. But mom was nursing with her the whole time. Such a good mom. Like, I can't imagine being in that much pain and making sure your baby is okay and with you at all times. And she nursed that baby all the way through, and now Churro's the best and Reckless is the best. So hopefully they get released soon, and they'll go back home, which is over kind of by Titusville. So we always release them where they're from. So a lot of times FWC will determine this, but if they are from Jacksonville, they're going to go back up to Jacksonville. If they're from down in the Keys, we are lucky enough to go back down to the Keys with them and let them go back in the Keys. So they like the manatees to stay kind of where they are because then they'll kind of be familiar with where they need to go and where the food is. Do you guys have any questions at all about the band? No, so it's pretty cool. Depends on the day. Sometimes we get calls. It seems like weeks it goes on rushes. So sometimes they'll be like, okay, we got to get a manatee rescue today, and then sometimes 2 weeks ago we did 2 rescues in one day. It just depends on the day, and sometimes it's just nothing, which is good because there's no rescues that we need to be needed. We do have 2 babies back there. There's 2 little orphans. One's 106 pounds. She's the cutest. And then the other one is around 66 pounds. She's pretty new. She's doing really, really good. They're all in bottles. We're here 24 hours a day just to take care of those little ones back there. They're on human formula, so just like you would feed a human baby, with a whole bunch of oils mixed in to help them gain like 2 pounds every other day, which is great. So they're gaining very, very quickly, which is good. And they're already eating lettuce. They're both girls, so they're super smart, and the other one kind of taught them, so they're doing really well. And they'll move out there when they're around 130 pounds-ish. But they're doing very good. If you guys want to look this way, you can see the tubing stuff that we'll use. So like I was saying, they get really, really cold. So we will put wool blankets on them, kind of wrap them up. A lot of people ask how long manatees can stay out of the water. They can stay out of the water in whatever amount of time, as long as they're kept calm. Usually we'll like wet down their face and their bodies a little bit, but it's not like a dolphin that has to be submerged and constantly wet. And usually when they are so cold, we don't want to sit there and drench them, so we just kind of will make the band super warm, which I love, and then put this on top. And we just basically sit there and make sure they're nice and toasty until they get to Florida, until they get here. And then we will go ahead and we will tube them. So this is a tube actually for horses. So since they are so big, we will go ahead and this is actually a nasal tube. So we have oral tube or nasal. Usually you can do either way. But if they're cold stressed, we will go through their mouth because usually their nasals are all bloody and yucky due to the cold stress. But if they're normal, we will go ahead and just tube them whichever way the manatee prefers. Sometimes they don't like their nose touched, sometimes they don't want their mouth touched, so we'll just do whichever's easier. It makes the animal more calm. But then we go ahead and we will measure out to their stomach, which for the manatees it's just to their flippers. And then that will be where their stomach is when you line them up on their back. And then we go ahead and each of them get their own, they'll get their own tape, and then we go ahead and tube them. We need to make sure that we are in, they're like us, one passage is the stomach, and one passage is their lung. So we need to make sure we're not in the lung. It's, you can hear their stomach, it sounds a lot scarier than it is, but it's, you know when you're in the stomach. We're luckily we're really good at it now. But we do that sometimes 3 times a day. And like there's 2 out there right now, they're not eating at all. So we go ahead and we make them a lettuce smoothie kind of shake. We actually will do, this is for like a normal size manatee, we'll do spinach, biscuits, like monkey biscuits made for monkeys with a whole bunch of calories. And then we'll go ahead and put 2 romaine head and one little up, and then we'll go ahead and just give it to them 3 times a day. And usually that will make them maintain weight or even gain weight, just depends, until they start feeling better, and then they'll start to eat on their own. But medication has to be through this as well. We'll go ahead, unless it's injections, but if it's antibiotics through, that way we'll crush them all up and then just put it down the tube. It's pretty cool. You guys have any questions?
What's your expected like response time when you need to get to somewhere?
It just
How
depends.
quickly they need you to get there?
So FWC is huge. So they're like the actual ambulance for all of Florida. They are the ones in charge of the manatees. So they will call them first, and then we are like their helpers, basically, and we're the hospital. So a lot of times, if it's a baby, they have to respond usually within 24 hours or they won't make it. So babies have a really, really small timeline. At FWC, they will do calls with boat strikes a lot. And a lot of times it's always from fishermen and people that live out that way that will notice an injured manatee, and they'll call it in. And they usually go out and make sure it's there, and then they'll call the teams over to rescue them. But it's pretty quick. But we have 2 turtles over here. So we do turtles as well, and we do dolphins too, or any type of cetacean. But mostly we are manatees. Right now we only have 2 turtles. These are green sea turtles. So these are turtles that you would find in anywhere in Florida. We also will sometimes get loggerheads, which are very cool. Those are the gigantic ones that you'll see on exhibit. These ones can get big, but not as big as the loggerheads. But this guy had an inner ear infection. So when he comes by, you can actually see he's got like a kind of like a mark right here. He's doing really, really good now. And this is actually, this guy swallowed a fishing line and had 2 hooks stuck in his throat. So usually injured turtles will beach themselves. They know to go to the beaches. They beach themselves, and then usually tourists or volunteers, they will be the ones that will actually notice turtles that are washed up. And then they'll go ahead and call, luckily there's lots of turtle rescue agencies around here, and they will actually go out there and rescue them, and then they go ahead and they bring them to us. So yeah, he's pretty young-ish turtle, not like a baby, but not like an adult. There are green sea turtles, so they get fish and they also get vegetation. So they're pretty neat. They actually have a vet appointment tomorrow, but just like our other animals, so you guys will go there next, but they will go ahead and x-ray them, make sure that everything looks good, give him fluids. They're going to go ahead and clean out his old wound that he had here, his ear infection. The guy with the hook seems to be, he's okay now. He does get antibiotics through injections every other day, but other than that, he's pretty good.
How long does it usually take for them to recover?
It depends on the turtle. So he's taking a lot longer than you're kind of expecting, but that guy will be pretty quick. So maybe a couple months it takes. But then they'll go back, it's easy, back to the beaches where they came from. So we'll call FWC again, and then that team will tell us exactly where to release them back home. And usually soon by Thanksgiving, up north, like in New England, is when we get lots of temp relief that come in because it's too cold there. And all those turtles will come to the surface and just kind of sit there. And they will, sometimes we'll get over 30. Sometimes we got, I think one year they got 50 turtles. So it just depends on the year. So we haven't got any of those yet, but it hasn't been that cold yet. But these guys are just local Florida guys. They're pretty cool.
Where do you inject the protein?
Okay, good question. So we have to do it in their muscles. So usually where their little hoof areas, we'll make them go like this, and we go right here, and they have fat right there, like muscle fat. And then fluids we do like here in their body. You can do by their legs, but other than that, it's all shell. So yeah, it's a bit different for these guys.
Do they usually, like, if they resist, like,
Well, greens are very active, so if I were to pick them up, they'd be like, ah! And then the Kemper, these are very chill. It just depends, I guess, on the turtle. But these guys, they definitely, and they're very strong. They don't look like it, but they're very strong. And they can get away, like if I try to catch them, they'd be like, whoop, it's really hard to catch them. They're pretty fast, those guys. And manatees too, manatees look like they're super chill. And they are usually calm, but when they want to move, they are strong. And even if there's 9 of us that are trying to like take a blood from them, they will win because they're so large and strong. Pretty big. Yeah. And then next we'll go over to our lab over here. So this is where we have our lab work done for all the blood, any type of testing, and then we have our surgery. So we will bring the manatees to surgery whenever we can can't do on the floor out there, we'll bring them out back here. We have a big, it's basically a huge truck with a big back that we put a bunch of foam on. We put the crane, we put the manatee on the truck, and then we just sit next to them, bring them to surgery, and then we have a forklift that will go ahead and take them from the truck and put them onto the table. And then we'll stay in there until, just like humans, they put the manatees under, like, so they're nice and sleepy, and then they will go ahead and do the things that they need to do.
The ones that you all were feeding, back there.
Yes.
What did they come in with? Like,
So
what
the
was
one
their-
that's floating is our most critical one. Did you see one that looks kind of like a bobber?
Yeah.
So she only has 3 broken ribs, so it's not like crazy bad, but she has a tear in her body cavity. So when she takes a breath, it will fill up her body, and that's why she's like that. So that's been like for 3 months. So hopefully she gets better soon, but she's the most critical one. But the other ones are there because I think it's all roads, unfortunately. All of them are roads. And a lot of times it's entanglement, but all the ones that are critical right there is people up in trees. But yeah, this is fun. Are you ready for us?
Oh, yeah. Okay, how to decide where they want to be up?
I know, it's so nice out today. It's lovely. I think the shade is
What do you want to do?
I think shade.
My name is Siobhan, and this side is the laboratory where I work. Down there is the surgery where Cindy will talk to you when you get over that way. This is very unique because we are available 24/7, just like a regular emergency hospital. And 4 of us work in the lab. 2 of us are medical laboratory scientists with the degrees and the licensing by Florida to work on humans. So we did do that early in our career, and we've brought our knowledge of the human world here and adapted it. We have the same machines you would find in a human hospital or laboratory. Your chemistry analyzers, hematology, microbiology. And so that's what makes it very interesting, because our doctors get their results right away. They don't have to wait for it to be sent out and then the results come back. So in this section of, we got chemistry, hematology, microbiology, which is me, is all the way in the back in that room that they keep me locked up in. It's got a closed door. There's something about micro, you always have it in a closed door. I love it because people come knocking on the door and they're like, I'm like, he's like, you can come in? I said, yes, you can. Maybe I shouldn't say that, right? Just keep it safe. Anyway, if we have some blood work, like I said before, they can get it right away, our doctors. We do routines, and we also have maybe a sick animal or something, so they might draw some blood on it. We'll run the chemistries where, just like human, you'll get glucose, sodium, potassium, chloride. You know, the whole panel that we get as humans. And hematology also. You know, red cell count, white cell count, hemoglobin. Those are probably some terms you've heard. And it gets interesting in the hematology side because you need to know what species you're looking at. And we even get samples from Busch Gardens Tampa now in the last few years, so that's even added to our repertoire. You know, it's like you get the elephants and lions. And sometimes I'm like, what the heck is that animal? I have to Google it. It's like one of those antelopes, gazelles. They have some strange names. But the difference, I should say, is mammals are pretty much mammals. When you look at their blood films, the different types of white cells, red cells, or whatever. But when you get to birds and reptiles, they're very different because they have nucleated red cells, where we don't. So if you think you were looking at a mammal and you see nucleated red cells, you got a big problem. That's not right.
We're gonna go there. We're just gonna go.
Moving on, if you go to microbiology, we do cultures, sensitivities, so we can check out, you know, which antibiotic's going to be effective enough, so we'll prescribe it. So we have a pharmacy on site where we carry the same things at CVS, Walgreens for the most part. Same drugs. As you know, it's all based on weight, how much you get. So you got these little big residents who get quite a few, and you get little tiny guys that get hardly anything. And a difference there's one real good difference is some flavoring. Kids' medicine has a lot of what? Fruity flavors. Guess which one we have? Fish. Get a fish flavor. It's pretty cool. One other thing we do in the slab that really isn't human per se is some water quality, because we do, maintain our seawater here, our seawater, and so we'll check for like pH, chlorine, salinity, temperature twice a day, just like you would a pool at home, say, on a bigger scale. And any changes that need to be done, we'll tell water quality, hey, you got to do this, add this, turn this off, turn that, and through the night they'll take care of it at that point. Any questions? Okay, I guess I'll send you down to Cindy. It looks like she's ready for you. If you want to sort of look serious, you can, even on your way out or in or whatever.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Cindy. I am one of the vet techs here. We have a team of 5 vet techs and 4 veterinarians who take care of all the animals here at SeaWorld Orlando, Discovery Cove, and Aquatica. So combined, it's about 30,000 animals, plus all the additional rescued animals that come in, so all the manatees and sea turtles and birds and others. So we're generally pretty busy most of the time as a result of that. That room there, if you guys want to go and take a look, is our vet hospital. Right now it's set up for small animal procedures, but we also are able to convert that room into a large animal procedure room. So we can do manatee anesthesia, dolphin anesthesia, some of our bigger semi-terrestrial animals like our big sea lions and so forth can all come in here for anesthetized diagnostics if needed. But what's also nice about a lot of our equipment is that it is portable. So we can take it poolside if we want to do that exam in the animal's environment or near the animal's environment. We can totally do that without having to bring them all the way to the hospital. And
Procedures for animals, like the animals that have
and a lot of them can come out for short periods. So if you're thinking of like fish.
Yeah, so it's like a limited time.
Yes.
You have to have like a certain time.
Yeah, so if we need to do an x-ray on an eel, for instance, we can anesthetize the eel and then bring it out of the water, put it on the x-ray plate, take the picture, put it back in the water. Bring it out of the water, put it on the... So, you just have to you have to have everything ready so that when you're ready to take the x-ray, you can take the thing and peel it back. But that being said, a lot of the animals that we work with participate in their medical care voluntarily. So we have a huge team of super amazing keeping staff who basically work with the animal from the time that they're born, if they're born here in the park, to allow them to participate in their veterinary care. So they work with them on voluntary blood draws, voluntary ultrasounds, in some cases voluntary x-rays, even for our dolphins and whales. So it is an unusual position to be in for sure as a veterinary professional when you can just ask them to help your animal lay on an x-ray plate so I can take a chest x-ray. And they're like, okay. And you just take the picture and there's no restraint, there's nothing else involved. The animal just does the thing that you need them to do. Most people who work in dog and cat clinics do not experience that, I can tell you for sure. Do you guys have any questions about what we do or how we take care of the animals? I'd be happy to answer whatever. What have you always wanted to know about medical care at SeaWorld?
It's like if you want, there's like 5 of them in a tank. If you want one out, how do you lure one out? If that one versus the other.
So if we're talking about a dolphin, or are you talking about so if we're talking about a dolphin, dolphins are trained from a very young age to station. So a trainer will have them come over to a particular area, so they can get an animal to station in one area with a person, so that way they can do voluntary blood draws. They can do what they need by simply asking that animal over to them and then asking them to do it. That's what you were saying. Exactly, way better than my cat for sure. If you're talking about a fish, so an animal in a very large aquarium, we we actually have all of our aquarists and such are divers, so they can dive and corral the animal into a medical pool where we can then capture that individual animal and do what we need to do for them. So it's different technique based on what kind of animal it is. And we can
Kind of corralling them in a smaller area so they're easier to.
yes, yes. Or if you need to, like some of our rays are trained, even some of our rays are trained to voluntarily target, so they'll teach them if they come and touch their face onto a little platform, they're going to get a snack. So by using that technique, you can then get them to swim over a stretcher, and then you can just lift the stretcher out of the water, so that way you can get a blood sample or you can potentially ultrasound them without having to do something. So there's a lot of unusual techniques that you can use to get your hands on a very particular animal. Any other questions? No?
Okay, unfortunately, I only have time for one more, and it's going to be this one.
Do you have any questions or anything like that, though? So this is our crane access. Named so because we could actually bring a crane in here. And I'll kind of get into why in a minute. But yes, this is the beluga holding pool. This pool has access to their beluga habitat. So if you've been to Wild Arctic before, you've been to their habitat area, to the front side where the guests go. There's access from here into there. There's a little tunnel in that medicine pool, a little tiny pool to the left over there. So they have there's a little tunnel, so they have access to get from here out to the front of their habitat at will, whenever they want. These guys, we try to give these guys as much choice as possible. Right now, they are back here with us, just so that we can have people get the chance to see them, and so the seals can. We have 2 harbor seals living with them. So the seals can kind of go do their own thing on habitat without being bombarded by belugas trying to play all the time. So we like to give them a little bit of a break sometimes. And we just got finished with a training session with the whales. So yeah, so you have that medical in the middle, in the left over there, the little small pool, the tunnel in there. The left of that medicine pool is this big white platform over there. That's their scale. We're actually able to get weights on our whales with that scale. Mainly Oliver because he's a little bit smaller, but Nunavut's a little bit bigger. So some backstory before I get into all that on our whales. We got 2 whales, Oliver and Nunavut. Oliver is 16 years old. He's about 1,700 pounds. Nunavut is 13, weighing in about 2,400 pounds. So even though Oliver's older, he's a lot smaller than Nunavut, which is one way we tell these guys apart. It's been a long day. Yeah, so Nunavut, because of his size, has a little bit of difficulties getting up on that scale. Oliver is working on it. It's a work in progress. So in order to make sure we can give them the best care possible by getting an accurate weight, we're actually able to bring a crane, a whole crane in this area, put it over here, and actually bring our crane down and attach it to a stretcher, which you guys will get a chance to see when we get inside, that the whales can actually swim into, and we can lift them up a little bit out of the water and get a weight on them, which is really, really important. These guys are trained on a whole bunch of different husbandry behaviors, voluntary husbandry behaviors, such as they can get voluntary blood draws, voluntary ultrasounds, voluntary gastrics, a whole bunch of different things, like how we bring our dog and cats to the vet. These guys can do that all right here, and they'll do it voluntarily, which is really cool. We pride ourselves in being able to train these guys on those things. You can also see there's a few things in the water right now. I'm pretty sure, unless we took them all out. But these guys have a bunch of environmental enrichment devices, which we'll get a chance to see a little bit more when we go inside there. Basically, a fancy word for toys, and a zookeeper term for toys. We use environmental enrichment devices to kind of help enrich these guys' lives as much as we can. We want to make sure everything's constantly variable for them, make sure they're always having fun. It encourages natural behaviors that they'd be doing in the wild, such as foraging, rubbing their skin on things. Anything we can do to keep these guys entertained is we'll keep doing that. So we change toys out throughout the day constantly. The seals are another version of enrichment for them, and the whales are kind of another form of enrichment for the seals, just in a little bit of a different way. Yeah, so we're really lucky to have these guys. So then when we go in this way, we're going to notice that to our left, we've got our harp seal Dwayne. He's a juvenile harp seal. He's 1 year old. So he's a baby. He's not super tiny because they grow up pretty fast. But he is still pretty new to humans and all that. He was rescued off the coast of Connecticut a couple months ago. So we're very lucky to have him here, and he's well on his way to, he's very healthy now. So we're really lucky that we have him. But he's our new friend, but he's still getting used to new people, new sounds, new experiences, which is good for him to learn. But when we're in there, I'm probably not going to talk too much. You guys are welcome to take pictures. Just please keep your phones. You guys see like the white doors here? Please keep your phones like behind that white door in case anything were to accidentally fall. We don't want to spook him or anything. And you guys are welcome to take a picture. Welcome to say hi, Dwayne. But also, we're not going to really pause too much there because we don't want to like crowd around. He might be get a little sketched out by that. So we're just going to, you guys can say hi, and then we're going to keep walking into the hallway. Yeah, so we can give him a nice little experience. We can make some new friends. He does love the attention, and you're going to see that. All right, are you guys ready? And there's also another view of the holding pool if you guys want to look in there too.
Big baby.
Oh, he's down there.
Oh, thanks, sweetie.
He's got rubber dog.
Hallways. We've got access to our beluga habitat from this way. So I don't know if you guys have seen like the beluga up close tours or encounters on the website. But if you do an encounter, you can go up front on the habitat. If you do it up close tour, you can actually go meet the whales back there in the holding pool as we're watching. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, these are a bunch of their toys. You guys are welcome to pick them up, touch them if you want. There is a lot of them. Any questions while we wait for people to say hi to me? I don't know if we've got an accurate weight on him in a little bit because he's still getting used to like his pool sometimes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've got to see if we have that written down. I think he was look at that 200-ish pounds. I believe I would say, but don't quote me on that because I have to double check. Probably a little bit more than that. He is quite big. Yes, we got our replica beluga skull over here. I know it's hard to, but yeah, there you go. We got our light over there. So it actually, you know, when you look at the belugas, you got that nice big melon on their head that they're characterized by. You can see it on that painting, but it's actually just a bunch of blubber and fat in there. So it actually it isn't part of their skull, which is why they look so different with their skull. Yeah, these are a bunch of their enrichment devices. So like I said to everybody in here, you guys are welcome to touch them if you want. I just have these here to show them off. So we've got little loofahs here for Oliver and Nunavik. That we're actually, because these guys, they can feel everything that we feel essentially on our skin, even through those 4 inches of blubber on them. So we like to kind of rub them down a little bit. They shed their skin quite often. When they're born, they're actually a dark bright color. And as they get older, they start shuffling that skin off and they become more white. So by we kind of help get some of that skin off by like wiping it off for them. They also like it because they like tickles and like they get very cute when you do that. Yeah, so these are their little loofahs. We also have this duck. Everybody thinks it's very funny when they see this duck. You might have seen the other one over there in Dwayne's pool. But yeah, Oliver actually is in the process of learning something we call match to sample. So my coworker that's training it, he can hold this duck, show Oliver the duck, and then in a lineup of a bunch of different toys, Oliver's able to pick the other duck out of a lineup of toys. So our goal is eventually to be able to show him any toy realistically that we have a duplicate of, and him be able to go pick out that toy from the lineup of toys. Kind of show like how smart these guys really are. They're really, really cool. They can learn behaviors very fast. Yeah. Any questions about enrichment before we move on?
But you just match a sample for fun, or is there?
It's for fun. Like any behavior really that we teach these guys is something new to add to their portfolio, something enriching for them. But it's not really, it's not really like a husbandry or anything. Like there's really no purpose of it other than like it's something new for them to learn. Like how we do like puzzles and things. It's kind of like that. Yes, that's like the main reason, just so we can all have a little bit of fun. And Oliver seems to really like it. He gets very excited when he gets it right. Yeah. All right, I'll lead you guys down this way now. All right, I'll put Oliver to my left. You're right. You guys are welcome to touch and pick them up if you want. So we use those target poles, and not just the whales. They can target their nose, chew onto the top of those target poles, and we can use that to help train. So say we want to teach them how to do a little hula, so they go in a little circle. We can actually use that target pole, have them target, help them through it, and working them into a circle. Eventually they'll kind of put 2 and 2 together, and they'll figure it out. And this is that stretcher I told you all about. You guys are welcome to touch this too. It's pretty soft. You guys can also come down too. I don't bite, trust me. So we've got this stretcher here. This isn't the exact one we use for our whales, but they outgrew this one pretty fast. The one they have is a lot bigger. So we use this. The whale will swim into it, and we can attach little cables to it, and the crane can pick them up and get a weight on them. They go right back into the water. So they're actually trained to do that voluntarily, which is really, really cool. Alright, so we're going to walk down this way. You guys can see another view of the whales over here. Then over here to my left, your right, is our dive locker. So we do dive all of our pools here ourselves at Wild Arctic. There is a dive shop or dive team on property, but we actually do all of our own diving, which is really cool, so we can get another view and another perspective of our animals and our habitats that they're swimming in. So it's really important. It's a nice 50 to 55 degrees in that water, so it's very, very cold. So we have very thick wetsuits that we wear when we get in there. Yes, that's our dive locker. And then down here, we're going to go into our fish house. Probably one of the most important parts of Wild Arctic. And this is where we prep all of our fish. Yeah, so this is our fish house, our fish prep station. Sorry if it smells like fish, because it kind of into the territory. So right here is our baseboard, very important. This is actually, each number with the red line under is how much food in pounds that each animal eats for the entire day. So you can see we've got all of our belugas, all our walruses, and all of our seals. So we like to point out Garfield especially, he's on the most food. He's on 72 pounds of food a day. He gets 3 buckets full of this a day. So kind of like, and each animal is color coded. So this is Caputo's bucket, this is Aurora's bucket. They all have their, and that's Turtle's bucket, these are Harbor Seal. So each animal has their own color coded bucket. We use that system so that everybody gets the exact amount of food that they're supposed to be getting. So we like to point out Garfield's though, because he's on the most amount of food, now 72 pounds of food a day. He's a 40, whatever, year-old walrus weighing out 3,200 pounds. He's a really big boy. He's huge. So like for example, in just this bucket alone, he gets a pound of herring, 5 pounds of capelin, 13 pounds of clams, and 4 pounds of squid in that bucket alone. He gets 3 of those buckets. There's a lot of work. Somebody comes in every day at 5 in the morning to get all the food ready for every single animal here at Wild Arctic for the entire day. And it's not like just a gradual, like how we make lunch in the morning or lunch and then dinner. Like we come in and for about 2 hours, we're kind of getting everything prepared. So it's a lot of work, but it's very important because without it, we can't really start our day. Because we start off by feeding the animals. Yes, that's our baseboard. It's very important. We keep a stockpile of frozen fish in here. We keep our thawed fish in there in our cooler because we're also very lucky at Wild Arctic. We're the only ones that have our own fish house in the area because the main fish house is all the way on the other side of the park, about a 10-minute drive down the road in a golf cart. So it takes a lot of work to just get over there. So we're very lucky that we have our own fish house here. We've got everything we need to get prepared. We've got our sinks and everything. So we're very lucky to have this fish house. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to walk out this way now. If there's any questions, you guys are more than welcome to ask it. I just don't want to block the next tree.
Do you clean the fish for them, or are you just giving it to them whole?
I mean, it's cleaned in the way of, like, it's all, like, it is just whole fish, but we do, like, it's in, we have to thaw it, we put all the frozen fish in those things with cold running water. So they're being, like, rinsed off technically, but they're not, like, not how we clean our fish, by, like, skinning and everything. They get everything just whole. That's a really good question.
Well, no, I didn't know if you chopped it up for them.
No, yeah, definitely. Like certain areas, for certain, like, especially like aquarium areas, they'll completely chop up all their fish. For most of their fish and all that, most of their animals. Just because these guys are big enough, they can just eat their fish whole, essentially.
Okay. Are the snacks that you give them a part of the allotted amount each day, or is it like a separate?
Exactly. So everything they eat is part of, like, Garfield gets 70 pounds of food a day, but he gets fed probably at least 6 times a day, if not more. But all his food is coming from that, like 72 pounds of fish.
Okay, so if you're like training them, that's like
it's part of that bucket. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, we use all that fish. I mean, if they need or want more food, if they're like, oh, Garfield's hungry, we're like, all right, we'll get him some more. That's fine. But he has that a lot, just a lot of like 72 pounds of food, or vice versa for any of the animals. They all have their food, but they need it extra for whatever reason they can. But yeah, all the training is included in that poundage. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. Any other questions back there? Cool. Alright, well if there's no questions, I will let you guys be free. This is going right out to our habitat actually. So to our left is the bluegills, which they're out back right now, so we'll be able to see them. Our seals are out here, and to our right is also more seals.
Alrighty, that's going to do it. We will be back. In fact, we'll be back for Christmas. We'll be back for their Christmas celebration before you know it. So until then, bye now.